Lindsay from Perfectly Bookish, and I'm going to share with you 4 book reviews because I read 4 books in one day. So yesterday was Labor Day. I had a 3-day weekend and I had to do a lot of stuff to get ready for my work week, but I was able to listen to some audiobooks while I was doing it. 3 of the books I finished were audiobooks, 1 was a physical book. 2 of the books I started yesterday and finished yesterday, and then 1 of the audiobooks I started just a couple days before, and my physical book that I finished, I've been reading for a long time. I just was in a physical book reading slump, only wanted to listen to audiobooks. So I had still about halfway to go for that book, but it was just a great reading / listening day for me. The first book I finished was One True Love by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think this is only the 3rd book by this author that I have finished, and I'm loving every single thing that I read of hers. In One True Love, we find ourselves with a character who falls in love, she gets married, but then a year later, her fiance is thought, or her husband, is thought to be dead. So it takes her a while to go on with her life, which, of course, anyone in that situation would have some hard times to go through to move on. Then she ends up reconnecting with someone, and she becomes engaged to this person. Now, something big that I don't want to say happens, and our main character comes to a decision that she has to make. It's a pretty big decision, and I can't imagine something like this ever happening and her having to make this choice. I couldn't make this, or well, I'd have a hard time making this choice. A choice would have to be made. But I think the way our character handles the situation did a very good job. And, well, okay, I say very good job, but I'm thinking of one particular thing I would have had her do a little differently. But she handles the situation. It's a big decision, and ultimately she's able to figure out, do what's best for her. I think I said the book was One True Love, but it's One True Loves. So excuse me for that. And I just loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. There's just so much that goes on in this book that pulls at your heartstrings. You feel for the characters, for what they're going through. Because the fiance that our character gets the second time around, he is going through so many emotions in the situation with her. And he has a whole nother level of a hard time, which is different from the level that she's at, but it's still a hard time for both of them to go through. And sorry, I try to go around this because I don't want to give certain things away, but it's a great book. Read it. The next book I read was Corrupt by Jessica Prince, or the next book I listened to. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. This was my first read by this author. I'm going to Wild and Windy author signing event in Chicago in May, and I want to read some new to me authors. And this is about a rock star and someone having a one-night stand. They end up having a child together. And this, I've read stuff like this before. And the reason I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars is that I thought some of the stuff was predictable, that it happens, like it happens a lot in the other books that I've read that has to deal with this type of plot. And I mean, there's some stuff that I liked about the characters, and the little girl is super cute. I like her. But it just didn't wow me. It's like I've read this stuff before, and I just needed that oomph to put it over the other books, and I just didn't get that. There's a lot of the arguing going on between the couple, especially at the beginning, and figuring out how to maneuver this new life they're living. And there is some sweet moments from our male main character that you could see that he's really trying to be a good dad and really just amp it up, since in the past, being a rock star, a little iffy, but it just didn't wow me, so it was an okay read for me. Next, I listened to Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon, and guys, this took me on a wild ride. So I decided to pick this up because of the hype that I've heard around the book. What is there, like 20 some or close to 20 like books in this series? Even when I went to a Polycon this last summer, the authors were talking about it. Like, okay, I have to give this a try. And I did not know what I was getting into. There's lots of times I don't read the back of books. I just kind of dive in, and it's more fun for me that way sometimes, but wow. So we start off with our character getting kidnapped by aliens. And if you're not into aliens or out of this world experiences, this book is not going to be for you. So these girls get trapped or kidnapped, and they end up getting stuck somewhere. Someone kind of volunteers, or she is volunteered, to go to search for help or see if she can find food, shelter, something to help these girls survive. And she comes across this alien. Now, then the sexy time starts. There's a lot of sexy time in this book, friends. And I just don't get how you can be in a kidnap situation and all of a sudden you're wanting sexy time 24/7, kind of abandoning those people who need help. Here you are, you don't know where you are. And so there is a trigger warning. There is some stuff that happens at the beginning of the book that please look for trigger warnings for it. There is some assault that happens, so if that's something that is a no for you when you're reading, please check it out. But yes, there's some questionable things that happen, some questionable choices that I don't think you would make if you were in those types of situations. And I don't know, this book was wow. It was different. It's something I have never read before, and I don't know if I'll continue the series because it was so out there. Like, it was so out there that I had to continue to find out what was happening next. So I think I'll give book 2 a try, but I don't know. Let me know if you read this series, what you thought, and if it continues to be as crazy as the first one, or if stuff changes. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. And lastly, I finally have the physical book to show you, Give Me a Reason by A.L. Jackson. This is my first read by this author. My friends have given me her books before, and I've always meant to read her and pick up her books. I just never got to it. Reader problems, there's always a million books to read. But I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved Eden and Trent's story. Eden is a school teacher, but her family is in a situation and she gets an extra job to help pay some bills. Trent is the club owner of where she goes to get this job, and he doesn't think she can crack it, that she's too much of a good girl to work at his club. Then, lo and behold, they find out that Eden is Trent's son, Gage. It's Gage's teacher. So that puts a little twist in things as well. Trent has a really troubled past. He has 2 other brothers, and they're kind of in hiding right now from stuff that happens. They're living their life, they're doing well, but they had to run from a situation that happened to them years ago. Eden has a sister, and her sister is the one who kind of put them into the money troubles that her and her dad have. So they both have some trouble in their lives, and they're making the best of it. Trent doesn't think he's good enough for Eden with his past, and Eden is loving Trent for who he is, and he's finally realizing that maybe he can have that happy life, that someone can love him no matter his flaws. I just love the relationship between these two and how they grow together. And little Gage is just absolutely adorable. I was a teaching assistant in a kindergarten classroom for 7 years. And I just love that age. It's so fun. Then the ending of this book, like, wow. There's a couple of twists that happen at the end, and I love them. I just love how everything comes together at the end, and it's good. Trust me, guys. If you haven't read this book, go and read it. Book 3, I think, just released, maybe this week or last week, when I'm filming this, which is September 6th, so it may have already been out for a while. So I definitely want to read about Trent's brothers. I'm pretty sure that's what the other 2 books are about, Judd and then Logan. I think this is a great book, and I'm so excited to continue the series. There you have it, guys. My 4 books that I've read / listened to in one day. It was a great reading day. I had some amazing books. I had some WTF books, and it was just nice to dedicate a good chunk of my day to something that I really love and enjoy. Thank you for listening. Let me know down below if you read any of these books and what your thoughts were on them, or any recommendations by these authors that you think I should give a try. Bye, guys!